have in store for us as the up-to-date leaderboard flashes across your screen. We're currently sitting at a beautiful 21 degrees with sunny skies. Notable wind, though, at 4.7 meters per second. That's expected to be consistent throughout the course of the round. Kochi won. She shot a 65 in the opener. She was comfortably in front. Followed that up today with a 69, 3 under, of course. And she has currently doubled up the next 3 closest challengers. Yu So-yeon 2, Lee Dae-yeon, and Chung In-soo all still playing, while Kochi 1 is already in the clubhouse. They are at 5 under. Patra Jutar Conquerfan shot an even par 72 today. She's also tied for 5th with Kim Min-sol, who, after her opening round of 71, is currently at 2 under par, up 9 positions from where she started the day. Park Hae-jun was certainly one of the stories. She began her afternoon yesterday on the second 9, the East course. She shot a 31 and was 5 under at the turn, but some struggles on the way in, over par, 3 bogeys, 2 birdies, and today those bogeys returned with a vengeance. She is on 18, but has shot 5 bogeys, carding only 3 birds. Still in the top 10, of course, after that brilliant start to the tournament, but down 2 spots from today. And if you will note in the bottom right corner of the scoreboard, the projected cut currently is at +5. That will, of course, change and ebb and flow throughout the day. At the moment, we have 71 players at that +5 score or better from 120 in the field this week. My name is Adam Jenkins, and with that, let's officially get you out onto the golf course at 2:02 p.m. local time in Umsong. Our first athlete to view today, Im Jin-young. So this is just her, pardon me, this is her final hole of the afternoon, and it has been a bit of a frustrating day at the office. Needs to birdie here to make it to the projected cuts by the end of her round. 75 yesterday. She's pacing for a 75 again today and looking good as she comes close to the flag. So she'll have that left for a par. Her day has looked as such. Started the day with a birdie at 10. Bogey at 12, double at 15, birdie at 4, bogeys at 5 and 8. Kim Soo-ji, she is putting for an eagle. Up the hill, then down into the wind and moving back online at the very end. With a touch more speed, she would have been down and improving her score by 2 strokes immediately. An easy finish. It's a birdie. Kim In-sun 7. Also concluding the round at 9. She is at +5 looking for birdie. Downhill into the wind. Lots of break. Serpentining back towards the cup at the end. So if she can hole out that par, it would still be a great improvement after yesterday's 76. third and final. So +5 as she exits, and will be paying attention to the leaderboard with bated breath as the next 3 hours or so develop in front of us. Another lengthy punt. Good job, the comment from the caddy, as another arrival on 9 leaves just about, let's call it 3.5 meters to go low. Wayward drive from Yu Hyun Jo past the first fairway into the rough and able to return without much drama. Kim Min-sol will putt from the fringe. The break comes in a little early. It's not going to give her what she needed. Second putt finishes it off. Well, certainly a whirlwind. Only 2 pars on the second 9. 4 birdies, 2 bogeys, and a double. It is a round of 71 today. She is tied for 6th position. At 7, Yu So-yeon, sitting in a great spot at 5 under par, gets a friendly kick back into the fairway. No issues reaching the end of the hole here. Hands off the putter with a smile on her face, securing that par. Another putt from the fringe, this time too deep on the green. Nice touch, leaving her with 30 centimeters or so. Scratcher as Finishing Shield misses that putt for birdie. She'll have to settle with the same score she began the hole on. shot from the sand. This one doesn't clear the fringe, it stays put. Yusoyeon 2. The jet out in the fairway. Never really got the backspin, and she sent that with plenty of power as the headwind really didn't seem to affect it in any way, shape, or form. Approach pretty much finds the exact center of this very long, narrow green, but she is on and putting. Final drive in this group. Right down the middle into the fairway, and we can return our attention back to the ninth. Che-hee at +1. Now she needs this putt to save par after her trip to the sand. Comes close with a decent effort. Bogey at 3, bogey at 9, double at 7. She's +4 at the turn. It's down to a tie for 30th position. Yusoyeon 2, her 4th at the par 5, 7th. About half the distance back towards the flag. Sue, T2, hole number 4, birdied to begin the round. At 5 under, she's 5 back. She'll be seeking for the pin located at the front right corner of this 13th green. The wind, though, really picking up. The flag was almost bent at 45 degrees. Downhill 2, change of elevation, doing her no favors with the gusts. Nine iron on the approach here. You can tell which holes are more or less insulated from the wind with the trees and which are a little more exposed. This is in the former category. Yoo-Hyun-Jo for birdie. Starts up the hill, will pick up some speed in these final few rolls. Excellent putts. Earmarked for the bottom of the cup. And it's her second birdie today as she moves to 3 under, effectively erasing that bogey on number 6. If we weren't satisfied with a great putt, let's add a dash of some absolutely astounding approach play from Peng Xin after missing out on a chance to birdie the last. She'll be able to birdie that one with her eyes closed. Here's Kim Min-byul now at plus 11. Tournament is certainly off to and remaining a very bumpy. An 81 yesterday, 9 over par. She had been plus 2 until that moment. Just her second birdie of the tournament. The only one she had yesterday came at 14 to go along with 3 double bogeys suffered in the first round. Quite as dazzling as Peng Xin from a moment ago, but very, very solid nevertheless. Disbelief and understandable frustration. Nothing worse than seeing the ball stop perfectly behind the cup. It means you didn't quite have the break sorted. Back down the hill into the wind. It had been a lengthy putt. No gimme the next one either. It's the easiest putt you'll have today, maybe all week long. It's a birdie for Peng Xin. Shot for birdie. The initial drive is kicking off down into the left. The option to chip or putt, she has chosen the latter. Judge the weight well. Yusei on 2. Letters her drive into the fairway, the last in the group, and away they go. Rolled in nicely. Kim Soo-ji for birdie to get back to even par after a nice on. It's just gonna hang on long enough. Jung trying to follow suit, but this is an 8.2 meter putt. How about that? Back to back we go. She returns to even. That was a 35, adding to her birdie from the third and a bogey at 6. Skip and a jump and over the cart path into the rough. Swung herself out of her heels. She's feeling a certain type of way after that birdie. There was no questioning the length of that drive, that's for sure. Blazing down to the end of the fairway and narrowly missing into the tall grass off to its left. To 8 with Yu So-yeon 2. That to about flag high off into the fringe. Everything for the last few feet as it jutted off right. Taps in from less than a foot. Yuhyun Jo from the from just off the fairway. A little over 100 meters to go. It's a short wedge. Never got the backspin though to get it to zip back and stay put. Okay, climbing up the hill. A pre-approach hike. She's unsure, bends back to try to get a spot. Lands on the fringe and rolls into the rough in behind. Jae Hee, +2, third shot at 10 as she begins the back nine. Compensated well with the very strong tailwind, helping her with the loft on the way to the green. The gallery applauds as the ball finally comes to rest in the back half of the green. Chugin Sue. This would be hole number 5 of her round on the 14th. Her opening 9 on the east course. Won't quite make it all the way to the back, and in fact a little downslope might help her pick up an extra meter or two closer to the flag. Tee-up shot from the fringe. Works her way back to flag high. And the flag is flapping as the shadow paints an image for us. To putt from the back left corner. Right at the flag with speed. Maybe a bit too much of it, with the benefit of hindsight. Punction Shield. She'd see the cut line with a birdie here. Obviously, it's plenty to ask. She gets rightful applause for the efforts. Now Yu to save a par, heading to 9. Yes, 3 under will be the score. Applause following some groans of displeasure from the gallery, seeing just how long of a putt there still remains. With the par confirmed. Soyeon 2. Speaking of pars, she adds that feather in her cap as well. Well struck. Kim Soo-ji hits the turn with an even par 36. She is even now after 27 holes. At this first DB Women's Championship. Slow roller up the hill, lacking speed. She'll need one more, and we will rejoin Lee Dae-yeon, trying to stay at 5 under. T2, the runner-up, but 5 back at the turn. She's got that sorted. Joe starts with the drive, 215 meters of carry. She sails past the end of the fairway. 3 drives complete, and away we go. Beautiful day here in Umsong. Hardly a cloud in the sky. Sue over at 14, trying to stay at 5 under par. Just as the wind picks up, she is undaunted, and the score is preserved for at least one more hole. A shake of the head, something from the journey from the tee blocks to the flag rubbed her the wrong way. '79-meter approach, no Sungi at +5. Had some struggles, last week as well. Tournament about 45 minutes away in North Chungcheong, the second Section EPC Championship. Showing some great flashes, but ultimately still looking to stitch together, in last week's case, a trifecta of rounds. And she'll be scratching and clawing even to make the cut for the weekend with this rocky start. Now Kim Shi-hyun, 48-degree wedge, 95 meters to go. For a little less loft and a little bit more carry. Ends up in the middle, not a bad spot. Imi Jung at 77, straight shot down at the flag. She stopped short. Trying to keep it close to the front fringe. That, unfortunately for her, is a little bit too literal. Ready for Yoo So-yeon too. Green itself disguised. The fairway perched up above it. Well, to suggest that that's the explanation for what ultimately ended up being the wrong club altogether. Jo working with her caddy, coming up with the right plan here. She is beyond the fairway, 149, and vastly different than the last club, and maybe lessons were learned. She had the 7-iron as being pulled, and I think the discussion right now is about the wind and what it's doing. Okay, with 43 minutes in the books, let's take this opportunity after our most recent approach to step aside for a few moments and catch our breath. Coach U169 shoots her up to a 10 under score. That is 5 best in the next 2 closest challengers as she is comfortably in control of this event. Buckeye June struggling again today. Plus 274 takes her to the second page of the leaderboard, but comfortably in front of our projected cut line, currently at plus 5 here at the DB Women's Championship. Welcome back. We're looking for some birdies here at Rainbow Hills. Always easier said than done, of course. Two putts for the woman in navy and white. She has her par, and meanwhile, back to 10. No Sungi looking for birdie. 3.7. It's makeable. Up, and we'll head back to what has proven to be on a few different occasions a tricky hole. The wind is flapping, and she just had enough to get over on the other side. Jill 253, her second shot at the par 5. Hits right at the boundary of the fairway and the rough, and she will kick back onto the fairway with that.
그만 움직여주세요. 조금만 들어가 주세요.
Dayan finds herself in the rough after her drive. It's 248 officially. No problem recovering. Good look at a green in regulation. Joe putting into the wind, needs to traverse the width of the green. Started breaking right, straightens out at the end, leaving her with very little left for her par. Suji, this will be her second. Last in the group at 10, 237. With that hybrid, just tries to punch that up. Passes with a solid B letter grade. For that par. That's really well struck. So close from off the green. It's a bit of a heartbreaker. Certainly a par in the easier category, but it's a par nevertheless. Here's Kim Soo-ji. Hybrid took her to this position at 10, leaving just 74 meters. Stay close to the front, but in this situation, she's too close to the front. As she went pin seeking, but comes up short. Amy Jung teeing off on the par 3 with an 8-iron in hand. Back down the hill now, ball. It had some suggestion. That's not a bad spot to be considering where the flag is today. So it won't be a GIR, but she will have a putt for birdie. Approach for punishing Shield. Back down to plus 670 meters. Rolls that in now, needs to get on the brakes. Certainly serviceable, and that's long drive of hers coming in handy once again. Dayan also nice and close, less than 70 meters out. Just about 8 yards to the left of center in the green. She'll have a putt back across to the right for birdie. Coming up next. Crowd reacts to the closest of calls. Let's go to 12. This is Peng Min Ji. First we're seeing of her today. With a low ball flight there, not quite fearful, but certainly cognizant of the wind speed and direction. She wouldn't be opposed to a do-over, I'm sure of it. Kim Soo-ji's 4th at 10. Stops well within a range where she could feel comfortable about a putt for par. A little bit rainy, a little bit wet this morning, but what it wasn't was as windy. You wonder if that gave some advantage to the earlier groups. An Ji-hyun, 140, just on the other side of the cart path, her second. Way too much speed. Skips off and rolls up the hillside. Club down with that much of a tailwind. See how Lee Dae-yeon can fare. We're seeing a few players who are currently tied for that second position at 5 under. She can take the outright runner-up with a birdie here. This is just ever so slightly short. For the par as we zoom out and peer across the Rainbow Hills Country Club on a blue sky Friday afternoon. As you say on two. Swinging a belt, textbook drive. Able to admire that one for a while. Quite figured it out. Opportunity to get closer to that projected cut line. Unfortunately, it was not in the stars on this occasion. Avoiding the sand and the stretch of the second cuts between the fairway and the bunker. That will be the location from which she will attack her next shot. Back to 10, Kim Soo-ji trying to avoid a bogey and stay at even. Not the outcome certainly. And a return to +1. A bit of a bitter one to swallow. One you just got to pinch your nose and accept it is a bogey. Becoming quite the recurring theme. Flanks at the front, approaches at the back. Flanks at the back, approaches at the front. You say he traverses a lot of yards and not a lot of time. She has a little more than a tap-in left for her par. Chance at a birdie. She will have to settle for par after her 67 yesterday. She was through 10 holes with just one birdie today. Came in the very first hole for par 5 first. Bogeyed the third, and it has been all pars otherwise. HAP 17.3. A long way up the mountain.
속도에 따라 맞춰갈 거는 게 그냥 인기가 갈 거면 그냥 안 봐도 오케이 오케이 계속
Kim Shi-hyun trying to hit the turn with a bird. Straight all the way by. Didn't even really start to move off its plane until it was already level with the cup. Yuhyun Jo from just in behind the bunker, an approach tee shot, pardon me, we saw about 5 minutes ago. Judged and well played. Just hang on before being taken further away down the hill. With the Anchehi missing out on that right to left breaking par putts. It's a disappointing bogey. It's not her first, in fact it's her third or fifth, depending on your perspective when you add in that double bogey as well. Par 3. Well, hour number 1 has come and gone, and the story has been the winds and the fact that there really hasn't been much in the way of change on the leaderboard after 66 minutes. Coach E1 remains our leader. Lee Dae-yeon and Chung-In Soo tied for the runner position at 5 under. Yoo So-yeon, though, with a bogey, drops out of that T2 for now. So Jin Chae-bun, both still out on the course. They comprise the only 2 active players on the second page of the leaderboard, and our projected cut remaining at +5. The inaugural DB Women's Championship from the Rainbow Hills Country Club will be back after the break. Welcome back to Rainbow Hills. Second nine begins for many of our featured athletes today, including Yu Hyun Jo, who amongst the active players is the third best scorer, trying to rival Kochi 1. Has been borderline unflappable through the first 50% of this event. Kim Suji putting for a birdie at 11, needs to get left. Lots of speed. In fact, that sails past the point that will feel comfortable. That is certainly now a tricky putt for a par. Factor. You can see it, you can hear it on many of our microphones scattered across the course. An already challenging course, even more challenging. Amy Jung at even, short approach. She gets caught and stuck. Stretch of cut between the end of the fairway and the front of the green. Chen Su. Approach time. Stops on the fringe. She'll have the option to chip her putt from that low-lying angle. Pretty good glimpse of how fast that ball's going to roll once it hits the downhill. Shield. This would take her to +5. Of course, the golden mark it has been and remains. She is at the point to the projected cut. Just her second birdie today. Those are the two bogeys from the opening nine taken care of. Still trying to handle the triple from early in the round as well. Amy Jung with a little lift. Gets it on the green, lets the wind do most of the rest of the work. Speed was right on the money. She had been slightly misaligned. She wouldn't have expected the birdie. Would have felt like a big bonus. Suji can't make the putt for par after all. She stumbles with a bogey. Indeed, deciding to putt from the fringe, and she was very mindful of the downslope. Plays a bit cautious and sets up a par. Yuhyun Jo trying to avoid a bogey of her own here. Reads the break really nicely. Just 2 feet. Reaches the end of this hole with the par. Chun Seung-yi will putt next at 9. It is her third. A lot of ground to cover. Found pay dirt. A head scratcher, as it will cost her a stroke. She looks up to the heavens, perhaps hoping for some answers from the golfing gods. Really interesting chip this. Excellent touch. Short game can save you some strokes. It can make you some strokes. If you're going to win at all costs, well, you need your wedges to be along for the ride. Over the water. Thank goodness the fairway starts there. Makes it a fairway in regulation for Bang Xin-xiu. Lee Dae-yeon standing well up the mountain. A little twirl of the driver. She sends that down into the land just past the water, though she is unable to locate the fairway. Seen a lot of that. Red flag. It's a hard hook out to the left. She's going to take the cart down and we'll go from there. The hill here, it comes down the other side, inching closer. Stopping about 20-25 centimeters short. Again, Joe, a 9-iron. She will just and only just stay on the green. The downsloping hill will move her back towards the middle. Downsloping hill to make this a green regulation, but not a bad spot to come to a stop either. Let's take a break. Yu So-yeon 2, Chung-In Soo remain the two players at 4 under par, both still out on the course. And Lee Dae-yeon, well, she's even Steven. Through 11, 5 back, runner-up, trailing Ko Chi-won at the DB Women's Championship. go then back to it. Yu Hyun Jo at 11. Gonna start this up the hillside. It'll move back down with the break. X-ray vision, but unfortunately the execution just ever so slightly not playing along with her. That was a nice par. Successful approach. Let's go back to the green, down the hill, and breaking early. That wind absolutely roar. This sport that we love is not always played cleanest of conditions. Imi Jung making the adjustment by trying to keep that ball flight low. That is exquisite. High degree of difficulty and some really impressive skill. Nice 2 for 2, Kim Soo-ji. Impressive on of her own. Most intriguing player we have on the course right now. Closest to the lead. So come the shouts. Unfortunately, that ball very much does not sit. It's a long way beyond the work cut out for her. On the 10th green with Kim Shi-hyun, the East course. First of 9. That's a par to get things started on the way in. off the deck at 12, and that has skipped. Volunteers are down looking for it, and the red flag is being waved. It's a grimace, and we can understand why. Disappointing outcome, certainly. Let's see if there's any more luck with this start to 12. The answer is no. That is what will feel like an unconquerable task to win right now. Anyone is going to leave the course today and run off to purchase a lottery ticket. There has not been a ton in the way of good luck. Battle of patience on top of the test of wits. Chung and Soo, a lot of ground to cover. Shouldn't be lacking for speed. This is looking really good, actually. I'll take that. Still back-to-back bogeys now. She drops to +3. It's a refreshing change. A birdie and very well deserved. John playing this hole fabulously well. Punch and chill moment of triumph. Back-to-back birdies.
After for par.
Soyeon 2. Dig in. Flips down to the back half. ready there. Ida Young's drive. Down into the little valley and rolling up into the rough. So Yuhyun Jo into the water with the first shot after the penalty. She is now facing an up and down scenario to save a par. Seems increasingly unlikely. She will feel some understandable anxiety on the walk to the green because that might just have double bogey written all over it. Dayon in sole possession of the runner-up position as she remains at 5 under par. The projected cut has not changed in terms of the score, but the number of people at +5 or better certainly has. And as we take you to break, we can update you to say that at the moment we have 61, which is a much more comfortable number for the organizers, I'm sure. At +5 or better from 120 who began this tournament, each in search of the inaugural win and their cut of a $1.2 billion purse. The first DB Women's Championship. 3:45 local time in Umsong as we're back to work. Round 2 of the DB Women's Championship. Conditions remain the story, though the wind has tapered off ever so slightly. It is certainly one of the determining factors of the second round, making some of those already perilous drives all the more tricky. Players are ending up in the drink. It's costing them strokes. It is truly a battle out there in Rainbow Hills right now. This is Kim Shi-hyun. She puts downhill. That breaks nicely. Celebrating the birdies all the more so today as they are a rare commodity. Soyeon 2, a marathon putt that comes close but falls short. Green and putting. Just enough carry to end up on the green. A preview of a 15-meter plus uphill putt for birdie, which will be next. No celebration, but maybe a sign of relief. Par on the card now. To round number 1, hole 13. Shot of the day yesterday. Patrick Jutar Concrefan. A beeline for the pin. Off the flag and wedged in. A big pickup of 3 strokes. Of course, she was one of the talks of the town by day's end yesterday, and for good reason. A bit more of a quiet affair. Ups and downs. Ultimately, she would finish with a 72. And it wasn't the only eagle, if you'd believe it. It was playing kind. So can we do it again today? Is the logical next question. Suji will offer up her best shot. 52 meters out. Lots of loft. She wants 58-degree wedge. Much different pin placement today. Nearly the same outcome. Been on a bit of a slip and slide the past few holes, so that birdie will arrest the descent. Quite the same level of accuracy despite being a little bit longer off the tee. Peng Xinxiu is in or on the fringe. Amy Zhang at even. This is her approach from 14. Needs to carry most of the distance of the green, just like that. And she'll come back even closer. 3 at the last. She has an opportunity to go on and attack here. Joe will get a nice roll down the hill all the way to the end of the fairway. Trickle into the first cut of rough. Missing out on the fairway by the slightest margin with the driver. It's not a particularly concerning lie, as she will soon discover. And on a day where things just don't seem to be coming easy for any of the members of the fields, serenity always appreciated. Over to 18. This will mark the midway mark of the round as Chung and Soo looks to return to joint second position. Uphill, knowing what the break would do. It's a solid effort. It's an even 36 with a birdie at the first and a bogey just a few short holes ago. Right where she had started her round. Secured one hole closer to the finish line this afternoon. Scorecard as well. Let's to rejoin Pengxin Shield. So the second shot got her up. This is now to save a par. She risks falling back to the cut line, and she didn't quite have the break sorted, did she? Kim Soo-ji finally stops the 3-hole slide. Birdie takes her to +2. Pengxin Shield, unfortunately, it's the other side of the coin. A bogey for the first time on the back nine. So in 274 meters just over the fringe. When it's downhill like that, it is so tough to get it to stay. Of course, you run the risk of being too cutesy with it and tempting the rough or the sand trap, also defending that front corner. Joe tries a different approach altogether, and it turns out to be a good one. More of a punch than anything. Stay low, basically play your chip. Another feather in the cap. Sometimes you got to mix things up and get creative. We'll go to Fortini Dayan, 5 under still. If she just parred all the way through, it would be not as dramatic, but it would be effective considering where she started and where the leader is. She'll still have 36 holes after today to try to reel Coach Yuan in. Agonizing. How close can you go without getting what you need? The answer is that close. 2 hours down and 1 hour of twists and turns remain. Ida through 13 holes. That means she has 5 left, is 5 back. Chung and Soo 1 stroke behind her in 3rd through 9. She still has half a round to try to go on and catch the top. Beg your pardon. The asterisk always throws me for a loop. Of course, yes, 9 with an asterisk means that's going to be it for her today. So she'll try to birdie the last and move into a tie for 2nd once again, as our coverage of this inaugural DB Women's Championship will resume right after the break. And so we go back to work. Find ourselves bearing witness to Yu So-yeon 2. Up the hill back towards the front of the green into the waving wind. If it was blowing the other direction, might have had a chance with just a little extra. Second putt gets her all the way up, or at least up the rest of the way for her par. Delighting the supporters with an impressive on. Joe will putt for birdie. Also here at 13. It's officially 6.4 meters. She'll start it above the hole and watch it move on line into the hole. Yu-hyun Jo up to a tie for fourth once again. Second time today she's answered a bogey with a birdie. Now that the green's cleared from Ji-hyun. Couldn't quite dig it in. Yu So-yeon 2, looking down over the water. 62 meters per second, the ball speed off the face of the driver. She does have the legs to carry the water. Soaring 219 and up the hill. Fairway was never in question. Brilliant strength off the tee. Just about. So they disappointed, but it was an admirable effort, nevertheless. And look at that run of pars. Every single hole since the third when she had bogeyed. And she started the round with a circle on the scorecard, the lone one.
넘어가 그렇지 그렇지
back-to-back birdies now. She climbs her way closer to even par. 4 holes remaining. That's a nice stroke. Next approach leaving a little bit to be desired in terms of the depth on the green. Be a long first putt looking for the birdie. Less than 2 meters the initial offering. And Sheehan not quite comfortable enough to tap that in. She'll mark off. Flag high on the approach, the closest to the pin from the lots. Great wedge play on display. Shouts reverberate across the course in celebration of that par. To the first hole. So I had it right first of all, didn't I? So she was on 9 in her rounds, but now brings herself to the 10th hole today. Shining Sue, of course, who we're discussing. 2-putt par to stay at 4 under. Let that be a lesson to trust your instincts. Okay, 15. Imi Jung trying to avoid bogey and dropping to +1. Uphill right to left, breaking putts. Goes for a ride around the right edge. What it is not going to do for her is fall. .15 minutes past the hour. unchanged. This first page of the leaderboard, it's becoming a common sight. We know who's in first, second, and third. We know about the others on the first page, but how about E.J. Hyun, who is quietly up to 3 under, still with 4 holes to go. I'm trying to near those provisional podium positions. So Jean even through 9 at 1 under par here at Rainbow Hills. Well, that's how you come back from break with a bang. A fantastic putt and an ear-to-ear grin for good reason. That's her shot of the day. It's one of the most impressive flat stick efforts from the second round thus far. Next is Ida on 5-iron from the rough and going low up the hill. The journey to the green, and it's cost her. But she has really taken the worst of the elevation change out of the equation. That's actually a fairly straightforward chip if you are a glass half full type. It's a close call. The patrons around the green thought it was going to go. Does need that one extra touch to finish the job. Kim Soo-ji also on 15. 141 as she tries to reach. She'll get bravery points. Shield, the last in the group. She's the power player of the group, so shouldn't come as much of a surprise that she's on. Now, how much farther she'll roll to the fringe? For her sake, fortunate that it's not that much. Really tough in placement today. DB wants the players to earn it. It's a pretty penny, the payday on Sunday. Splash, brand new event, always a special occasion. As we zoom out this way, get a really good glimpse of the uphill, maybe up mountain, dogleg right. Yuhin Joe. Down it goes on its way. Groans say just about everything, don't they? Really thought that was going to have the carry to get to the hole. It's a well-deserved birdie. Restrained in what can hardly be called a celebration. There's a desire for the sponsored athletes to put on a show. Kim Soo-ji, another one from the Company Corporation. That would have been pretty sweet to see the letter E beside her name. As she takes that putter, she knows she won't have it in her hand for very long. Go, go, go. And close. Par for punching shield. The only sounds, the birds chirping as they watch from the trees. Give yourself too much grace to the inside of the hole. It rolls past by a yard or two. And Young's bogey-free streak. And the run of pars comes to a close on the 15th. To 2, Chung and Soo. Pin today 8 yards off the front and 11 from the fringe. 88, but we'll play closer to 100. A long way up and a lot of loft. Didn't have enough to get all the way there as it disappears from our camera view. So Young 2. Deceptive how much up there is. It's 20 meters. Starting well left of the flag. It stays left. Perched up on the fringe, almost flag high. Well short, well right. Didn't come off the face of the club well in the slightest. The silver lining is that it also avoided the sand. And that'll be a long hike. She plays that one in her brain. It's a long trip down the fairway as a roar reverberates. That's some interesting foreshadowing that I suppose we're going to have to find out the answer to after the break. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a cliffhanger. We'll get our conclusion to what caused that moment of euphoria and triumph. The updates, Ida Ayan with her bogey drops into a tie for second at 4 under par. We're still at +5, our projected cut. Kim Shi-hyun at 2 under par, both for the round and the tournament through 13. And So Jean even through 9 on this Friday in Umsong. And we're right back to the action, 4:34 p.m. local time. Here in the mountains of Rainbow Hills. Approach at 15, Yoo-hyun Jo, high up over the sand to the back corner. And will it stay? Yes. Paul hesitated for a moment, but ultimately decided that it was satisfied with where it landed. To 2, Chung In-soo. Now this is her 4th shot. Hole out is the only way to avoid dropping out on that tied for 2nd position. Starting to run well, but it's going to be short. Yusoyeon 2. He's gonna putt for birdie. Downhill to start. Give him a bit more speed. The break was gonna go the other direction. Bit of a stumble for her there. Kim Ji-hyun also putting from off the green. Into the wind, moving over. That's going to be a birdie. So that's the answer to our question. What's all the hoopla about? What's for that birdie? Kim Ji-hyun. Unfortunate two-putt situation. She's not expecting much. Chung In-soo on the break here. Overplays it, and that would have been for bogey. So tiptoeing across the tightrope. It's more than just a speed bump now. That's a pothole in the road. She drops all the way to a tie for 7, 2 under, now 8 off Ko Chi-won's lead. It's a nice par. Dayan, 223 down the hill to closer to 2. 5 woods. So much power. She's on and off the green and probably took a healthy divot. This is a nice and wide green, which I suppose based on your perspective makes it really short. When you're coming from up the hill like that, she can't believe that she overshot it. Despite the gallery's best efforts, that ball would not stop. Fortunately for all parties involved, the wind has finally died down and is much more playable than it had been about an hour to 90 minutes ago. It's a big swing. Blasted off the tee, down the hill. Right in the middle, in a good spot. Two for two, no complaints. Yuhyun Jo has not fared the best accuracy-wise, but what that last number tells you, 1.67 the putting average, is astounding. Driver hasn't been her favorite club. Let's see if the hybrid does the job. It's a much different sound, more of a ping than a swoosh. Will that pop back out into the fairway? Nope, not quite. Trickling through the second cut. It didn't do enough to really slow it down as much as she would have hoped it would. Obvious surprise and disappointment you can add in there as well, from the tee to the sand trap. Second foot off the ground, we got the crowd murmuring. To see a good shot, and a good shot is exactly what they got. Idayan for birdie the 16th, 7 meters, it's a long one. Has a chance, you know. Didn't miss by very much at all. That's the way it approaches the gigantic 15th hole. One of the better ones we've seen today, certainly in the last couple of hours. Kim Soo-ji for birdie. Oh, close one. From the sand to a spot that Lee Min-jung can certainly make in terms of her search for par. Well, that will certainly stop anyone in their tracks and ponder what went wrong. The supporters try to lift her up, but that is undoubtedly a very surprising and a very disappointing miss. Kim Shi-hyun putting uphill 11.7. It's a pretty close call. Kim Shi-hyun settles for par this time round. Shil. This will give her a little bit of breathing room when it comes to the projected cuts. She's been to +4 today. She's trying to get back. Nods her approval and tips her cap. Stuck in the trees. Second shot on the par 5, and she's going to have more than enough to reach. That was her second shot on the par 5. Shows off some serious power. Okay, not quite in the trees. A deceptive first camera angle. That's more like it. Joe here. It's called playing within yourself. Not trying to do too much, because I don't even want to think about the hybrid or the wood. Just hand me my iron, I'll take it from there. He's on the 18th hole, 150 meters to go. Excellent shot. It was brave. It was well executed. The only complaint, and you'd have to look for one under a microscope, she would have loved 5 more feet of carry to stay on the top side. You are really splitting hairs at that point, looking for something to complain about. Hungmin-ji. Well, if she pars, she should be good. We're late enough in the day to feel like that +5 is more than just a suggestion, but a guideline. Prerequisite. Might be the best now. '17 in Jong out the sand, trying to complete the save. Didn't quite have it aligned the way that she had needed it to be. Kim Shi-hyun,
Nice. Okay.
plenty of torque. She'll stop just before the fairway, but that will be a-okay, that drive. '7-9 for Pang-Shin Shil, her final par 3. 5 yards from the back, 8 yards from the right. That is going to be tricky. Not unplayable, but certainly very tricky. White and red flag wave means you're safe, but it doesn't provide a whole lot in terms of context, just that you're not going to need a penalty to take a penalty. Suji is next. Big swing here. Run the razor's edge. Stays out of the trap. It in. Well, she just made it look easy. Get in the hole now. Get in the hole. Somebody's left, somebody's right. Well, you split the difference, literally. You come up with a shot like that. My goodness. Well, we nearly had a ground shaker. Well, not quite the ace, but certainly in line for a birdie. This is an important update. We haven't been able to have one on the first page, at least in some time. Projected cut now +6. So that +5 number that we had seen for the first 3 hours today, well, it was starting to slip further and further, the number of players able to stay there. So that is updated and will be a big sigh of relief for many. Might not be in the hunt, but at the weekend and avoiding a cut, small victories in their own right. Back for more from Rainbow Hills on the other side of this quick break. So 3 hours, not quite enough time for us today. Let's consider this some bonus coverage. Second round of the DB Women's Championship for Rainbow Hills. That was a putt for Eagle. After an incredibly well-played second shot to reach the green in two, that's all that will remain in search of a birdie. On the topic of birdies, I think we can safely say that's not in the near future for An-Che-Hee here, as I think she was able to avoid the sand. Might have been worse that she did it. Tricky spot, sort of right on the corner of the rough, sends that well long. And this could be troublesome, to put it mildly, on 18. Bial is going to putt. It's a little bit short. It's a little bit right. Second putt gets her the rest of the way. The putt for bogey An-Che-Hee. good putt, but it's not going to do much to change her mood, unfortunately, as bogey at the last is always a frustrating way to end the round, to put it mildly. Yuhyun Jo trying to get to 3 under par. This is going to be downhill, quick. Had the speed, didn't quite have the break. Knew it was going to be fast. That's why she left the flag in. Pushed, missed to the outside. Short and simple finish. 2 holes to play. Punching shield, so we knew that she wasn't going to take penalty stroke because the ball was found, but she was in a bit of a pickle. Wrong side of the hill from the thick grass. She takes the first step towards an up and down par save. This will be Issa Hee. She wasn't worried about missing the cut. She would have got the information that it had changed to +6, but would have liked to end the round nevertheless with her birdie. Yu So-yeon 2 for 5 under. Sole possession of second now. Heartbreaking putt, left to right. Did exactly what she expected it to. Par is an appropriate outcome as the round winds down, and many people are feeling the excitement of knowing exactly where they will stand heading into tomorrow. Kim Ae-yeon just missing out on a bogey try, or a birdie try, pardon me. Absolutely brilliant. On Chae-hee now for a double bogey. She can't miss this putt. This is her tournament right here. Okay, so she stumbles at the end. She's not going to miss out, but she cracks the cut by the skin of her teeth. +6 after 36. It's bitterly disappointing for Kim Soo-ji. Dayon, after waiting very patiently, and I mean very patiently, 16 holes later, back in the birdie column. Ever since this wind has died down, it has become very comfortable and enjoyable out on the course. Sun's starting to get lower in the sky. Yu So-yeon 2, 5 under, looks nice beside her name. Grabs the iron for the final par 3, 160. And heading to the back. She can certainly work with that. Dayon with driver in hand on the 18th. So still in a podium place, but she is down from where she started today. A birdie here could return her to that 5 under score. Even par, that's where we find Yu Jo after her par at 16, the par 5. She goes to the par 3 and misses right. Ends up in a sand trap. Not quite what she had envisioned. Reading the break well. It was quick and it danced away in a hurry. Kim Shi-hyun for birdie. 4 under awaits. Close call. Rock back on her heels. That's generally how you know it's pretty darn close. Par is where we finish at the 16th. We'll head back to 18 now. Young to conclude the round with a par. It's for 73. No. Goes all the way around. That's certainly a surprising one. And some subdued applause from the gallery. 5 bogeys on the day. So a 73, 74 yesterday, 74 today. Tied for 33rd after 6 holes. Let's take you to 9. This was Song Ji-min, the amateur, +7. Set to hit and skip all the way back into the corner. Now 7 over is relevant, of course, with the projected cuts. Kimani would have given herself just a wee bit more breathing room with that birdie make. The last time fresh, we had 72 players at +6 and better. He, this had been the tee shot on the 3. Right at the flag. Distance, weight-wise, absolutely spot on. 14 is where we go next. Chun Soo-mi, close but no cigar. And that's last time I saw her name. Still fighting around that +7 mark, even if the birdie was not to come there. And how about this from earlier? Kim Gawi 2, unable to hear or see what she was after. Settle for a par. She's tied for 37th, which is up 10 positions from where she had begun the rounds. So some of those updates complete. We find you again, Joe, in the bunker. As much loft as you can carry in your bag. Trying to get up and down quickly. Greens will move fast. Those 17 meters will disappear in the blink of an eye. Wow. What an unbelievable shot from the sands. Is anything but straightforward, though she made it look it. You know, the greenside bunkers are steep when you need a pole to climb out. Idayan approaching 18. 150 to go. Drops 5 meters from the fairway to the green, so it'll play even less than that. Didn't want to get too brave. I was starting to think about 8 and 9 irons with the flag so close to the back corner, so she essentially goes for the layup. Yusoy on 2. Cutting for 30. The uphill fringe starts to move on its right. Two, 3, each on the green, though each still with some yardage to take care of. No trouble with the putt for par. So yesterday we were able to give you an update of the Dream Tour, but how about some players that will give us a blast from the past? The Champions Tour, of course. You don't earn your spots on this circuit or in these events by chance. You've got to work for it. gets old. Water bottle shower means you've done something quite right indeed. So our congratulations to Kim Bo-kyung for winning the first round of the 2026 Champions Tour. And with that, back to the 18th green. Long putt with a lot of grass to cover. Diana at the tip of the cap. She knows that that is the setup to the par. This one has a chance. Not as close as you can get without the birdie. End of the round for Kim Soo-ji. She comes in with the 38 after going out with a 36. Not much in the way of pars. It was a day of birdies and bogeys. She finishes at 74. Shin Shield to avoid bogey. Oh, she's had some memorable putts today. This was almost another. Punching shield now. Yo-yos. Highs and lows, ups and downs today. None more so than that triple bogey at 4. It's a 75 plus 3. As she hits the midway mark of the tournament at +5 and will have just enough to make it to tomorrow and beyond.
Okay.
And that had left Ideon, who scores 2 birdies today and 3 bogeys, a 73 in round number 2. Which will see us come to a close.
고생하셨습니다, 형님. 고생하셨습니다.
It turned into an absolute stunner of an afternoon into the early evening here in Umsong. And as we get set to bid you farewell, let's take one last look at how things are shaping up, more or less after 36 holes. Kochi 1 is the leader. She has been the leader long before we were on the air. 5 strokes is her advantage over Yu Soyeon 2, who will have a chance to whittle that down to 4 with a birdie at 18, though those have certainly been hard to come by. But certainly not to suggest that this tournament is over. If this was tomorrow and the advantage was as such, we might be more inclined to say, yep, runaway favorite Kochi 1. But she's in a great position, and she should be feeling very good as she gets back to the hotel room tonight. Speaking of hotel rooms, let's get ourselves to bed now, shall we? 2 rounds down, 2 more to come in this historic and inaugural DB Women's Championship from Rainbow Hills. As always, we do some housekeeping at this point of the weekend to remind you that the final rounds, 3 and 4, they start an hour earlier than where we have been through the first couple of days. So that means we will see you right back here tomorrow, 1 p.m. local time in Umsong. For all of us at the KLPGA Tour, I'm Adam Jenkins. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your Friday evenings, and we'll welcome you back tomorrow when we return to the first DB Women's Championship.